Guess what? It's time for another game review, and today's game review is going to be Hunter Patrol. Let's load it up. Here's the front cover for Hunter Patrol then, and it's a man in a cockpit shooting at stuff. Typical sort of thing. Pretty basic sort of front cover, not a bad bit of artwork. And on the spine we're in the grid style packaging, and it says Hunter Patrol, the usual stuff again. And on the back there it tells you it's an exciting action-packed 3D arcade game. Now if we take a look inside, we've got the screenshots which show that it is a 3D into the screen kind of affair, and like Space Harrier but less colourful perhaps. You can see a little plane flying around there, and pretty straightforward instructions. Guide your fighter across country to enemy targets, sweep down, knock out ground-based forces, blah 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 blah. Joystick in port 1, loading instructions, and all the same in languages that I can't understand. I suppose you could use this as a basic English to German and English to Spanish learning aid if you really wanted to, but I don't. Anyway, in the meantime, the loading screens come up on the screen, and as you can see it's a big plane. Not quite sure what this plane's doing in this screenshot, as I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be sort of World War II based game, and that looks more like a Harrier or something like that, some kind of jet fighter. Anyway, there's also a tank on the ground and your usual sort of ground based thingamabig bobs, whatever you want to call them, ground based stuff. And that's your loading screen. So here we have the title screen. Pretty straightforward stuff, just lots of text. As it says at the bottom of the screen there, it's written by Steve Lee, who also did Falcon Patrol amongst other games. The music I believe is by Rob Hubbard, and it's a nice little tune. Got a bit of a sort of military kind of beat going on in the background there. So let's get on with the game. And you're flying a plane across this scrolling 3D sort of battlefield, and the little blue plane at the bottom, and pulling back on the joystick makes you go up, and pushing forward makes you go down. As you can see, the sounds, actually as you can hear, the sounds are just an aircraft noise throb. So the idea is you've got to wipe out the enemies to get to the target. Every time you destroy an enemy, if I can do that, which I'm not having much luck with at the moment. There we go, you'll see the distance to target gauge at the bottom there starts to deplete and turn a light shade of green. Starting from the right hand side if you haven't spotted it yet. Nearly gone. So you can shoot enemies on the ground. And you can also shoot enemies in the sky, which I'll now go and try and do, which are flying around. Gunfire is a bit peculiar. You get to shoot just one shot at a time. And it always seems to, if you're pointing to the left, it'll fire off to the right. If you're pointing to the right, it'll fire off to the left. So the best idea is to get the target dead center in your sights and then level up. So you've got to wipe out the targets to get to the boss at the end. Boss, I say boss, it's a building. Oops, crashed into something there. So as I already mentioned, sounds are a bit basic. It's the usual gunfire, explosions, and this throbbing aircraft engine noise. Graphics are pretty cool. They're a bit indistinguishable at times as to what they are. I mean, the planes are all red, obviously, apart from the players playing. The things on the ground do vary. I'm not quite sure what I'm supposed to be shooting at the moment. Let's try and just go past one and see what it is. No, still, I think it might be a truck or something. The main hazards are crashing into stuff on the ground, or the artillery fire, which you see the sort of fire bombs which come close to you and then explode. And that's pretty much it in terms of enemies. It's not too tricky the first time around. Nice scrolling effect, I think, on the landscape. Quite technically impressive, this game, really. It does give the reasonable illusion of travelling forwards in a 3D sort of world. No variation in the landscape, really. The mountains in the background just stay there in classic car racing game style. Nearly there. Lost another life, unfortunately. But nearly at the target. I don't think I've hit a single plane in the sky yet. Let's just try and do that. It's much easier to hit the ground-based targets. Right, so now you can see at the bottom there it says strafing, not strafing, but strafing run aircraft number 2. Basically you get one strafing run at the enemy base for every life that you've got left. So I've got 3 chances to try and do as much damage to this base as possible. And you see it's right in front of you. And I've completely missed it there. So now I'm on run number 1 of 3, counting down. And I've crashed into it, which is not much help. I've got one more go. Let's see if I can actually do some damage to it this time. Nope, missed it completely. Not a very good example there. So it says there now, target undamaged, try again. And it sends you right the way back to the beginning. And therein lies the frustration in this game, because it's not very easy to hit the target base, and you've got to hit it enough times to destroy it as well. As you can see, I managed none. And now, that's probably game over, is it? No, I've got 1 life left. So I better sum up quickly before I get killed, because I'm not going to get through the whole thing again, I don't think. Basically, quite a nice game. Looks to be a little bit unfinished, and there's a lot of stuff seems to go on that you don't seem to have much control over. Control of the craft's a bit flaky at times. There's not much else to say, really. It's a shoot 'em up. It's got a high score challenge to it, obviously. It's a bit hard when you get to the end of the level, and it's a little bit too easy for the rest of the level, so it's a bit of a strange combination, really. I'll just see how far I get. You never know. I've only got 1 life left, but maybe I'll make it to the end of the level again. I highly doubt it, though. And there you go, that's game over. So I got a new high score. May as well put my name in. But it's not bad, you know, it's pretty nicely presented. As I say, it has a feel that it's a bit unfinished. But otherwise, yeah, it's probably worth your $1.99, or would have been back in the old days. So, yeah, alright. I'm not overly enthralled by it, as you could probably tell. But it's also far from being the worst game that I've played during these reviews so far, so worth checking out, I think. And as I say, technically quite an impressive piece of work, and some nice music on the title screen, so yeah, worth a look.